everybody. This is the first lesson in our virtual watercolor experience, Made to Create. And this first lesson is going to be about literally how do I use watercolors. We're going to be adding water to paint and practicing on paper. It is completely about the process. These first few lessons, if you end up with something that looks great, that's a bonus. It's about playing and learning with the materials. So I want to make sure that you have these materials ready. You need a piece of paper, you need your brushes, you need 2 cups of water, you need a pencil. I'm going to ask you to get yourself some lids to trace for circles. I prefer doing that to using a compass. If you don't have the lids right now, hit the pause button and go and get a variety of sizes of lids. Okay, here we go. We're going to take these lids and you're going to randomly make circles on your piece of paper. Now this is supposed to be, no composition is in mind. If you want to make a circle in a circle, don't worry so much about it being a cool design. Play with the circles. I'm going to go for a bigger circle now. Have some overlapping, because that will be interesting. Notice how I'm not even making perfect circles here. I've got some mistakes going here. That's not really a mistake. This is all about setting up boundaries for me to learn how to use the brush. Okay, so I've got some circles drawn. Now I'm going to paint them. And once again, here's the interesting thing about these paints. They're wonderful, these Daniel Smiths. And what you need to learn is it's all about adding water to the paint. Watercolor is mainly about transparency and layering colors. Sometimes we want to use dark colors, but if you're really wanting to use dark colors, you should be using tempera paints. Watercolors give you the mysterious level of layer over layer over layer and still being able to see the original color. Isn't that amazing? So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start with my yellow, and I'm getting a dab of yellow out of my little wells here where I put the paint, putting it out here in my mixing area, and I'm going to add water. Another thing I needed to tell you, you need paper to test on. You can even use typewriter paper just to see how the color is looking. I'm going to recommend, if you don't have that, pause and go and get yourself some testing paper. Okay, if you're back, I'm just gonna, oh, that's exactly what I want, a transparent yellow. So I'm gonna start with my largest circle here, painting it transparent yellow. Let's talk about a brush stroke here. When I lay my brush down, I get a full, flat, wide brush stroke. When I pull my brush up, I get a very thin line. Can you believe that size 12 brush gives you that thin a line? It's wonderful. But if I want to go in and fill in, I'll use the full push down brush. Now, here's another thing, and I'm going to be saying this a lot. Don't paint wet next to wet unless you're intending to have your colors run together. I don't want that to happen right now. So I'm going to hop over to another circle. I am now doing what we artists call loading the brush. I'm filling the brush with paint off of my palette. Now my brush is loaded with yellow paint, and I'm going to slowly, and remember, if you're just really learning about staying in the lines, take your time. Stop the video. Do what you need to do so this is a relaxing process for you. Now here's another way you can fill in an area. I'm going to do one more yellow circle, and this time I'm going to paint with a separate brush. This is my 16 brush. I'm going to paint the circle with water. That's another nice way to do a wash of an area. I just put down a light layer of water. Then I use my other brush that I'm using to actually absorb my pigments, and this is, there it goes on really fast. And here's what's interesting, that little line of water on the circle is almost like a boundary for holding the color in that space. That's what that water did. It's holding it very easily in the space. Now here's something interesting. This isn't going to happen with every pigment. Some of them take longer. But my yellow is pretty dry right now. So I'm going to now paint this circle a different color. And I think I'm going to try my wonderful ultramarine blue. Notice that I cleaned my brush really well before I dipped into my tube, but out here I can make a mess. I can do all kinds of things out in this palette, but I don't want to mix my colors in their little individual wells. Okay, I'm going to add water, and I'm going to test it just to see if it's a transparent color. Yes, that works. And I'm now going to paint the blue circle. And I want to show you this. I can go with the tip with a very fine line. You'll figure out your own style and your own way for doing washes. What is a wash? It's painting a large area with generally one color. And there are other things you can do with washes, and I'll be showing that to you later. Okay, so I'm going to gently go over this yellow, but I'm not going to rub it because I don't want to rub the two colors together. I'm doing one layer over that water, and over that yellow, and look at the beautiful effect. Do you see the green that blue and yellow created? So what I would like you to do right now is, using all of your colors, or most of your colors, paint your circles in, and it may take a little pausing. You need to wait for each circle to dry if you're going to paint over top of it. Now right now I could paint this one easily because these are drying. I could paint this one easily. Yes, I'm going to do a whole nother color over this circle with this bigger circle. But if you are painting an overlapping area, make sure, like this, for this, when I paint this circle, I want this to be dry, and this to be dry. I'm going to let you right now finish these circles on your own and then come back to me. Okay. Pause your video. Okay. Here is a completed circle painting, and it's given me the experience of learning the overlapping transparency of watercolor. It's given me the experience of staying in the lines. It's given me the experience of making mistakes. This is mine. I made a mistake that's a happy accident. Notice what happens sometimes when I have probably not consistently mixed my paint, and or something has bloomed here. You can see there's a streak of color blooming into that red. That's what we call that, when colors kind of smear into this, almost like you're dropping oil in water. But it's a beautiful effect. You're going to learn some of watercolor that happens almost accidentally as a happy accident. So this is what your circular piece for practice should look like. If you're still not feeling confident to go into lesson 2, do another one. And now I'll see you at the next lesson.